Hey everyone, welcome back to the Craft Parenting Podcast, the podcast about two Cincinnati craft beer lovers with a parenting problem. My name is Joe Ludwig, and with me is my lovely wife and co-host, Caroline. How's it going, Caroline?
Pretty good. I am in the woods. I went on a hike today. I feel slightly recharged. We're going on another hike tomorrow morning, whether or not Joe knows that, so I can feel more recharged. Maybe we'll take the double stroller so we can get farther. I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't even know we brought the double stroller.
You were very insistent that I pack the double stroller, so we brought the double stroller.
You brought it up. But we have another great show planned out. Did you know this is episode 80?
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
And that doesn't include the bonus episodes that we've been doing. If you want to include those, this is like episode 95. So we're getting up there in numbers.
We're getting old.
We are.
We're getting known because we have a hater.
Yes.
Though he totally changed his mind and became a lover of the podcast after we did not give him the energy that he was looking for.
We're really living large on the podcast front. We have fans and haters. That's how you really know that you made it, when you have a hater.
Exactly.
A troll.
Troll in the dungeon. You sent me that GIF like 4 times that day. It was hilarious. He also tried to do the same thing. He tried to do similar stuff to the gnarly gnome. And I was like, boy.
Really? What was he saying to him?
He commented on some post. It was like a post from like 3 days before he commented on it. And it was like the gnome had gone to some kind of festival that he thought beer was going to be more prevalent in, but it was not, because there was only like one beer available for him to drink. He thought there was going to be more. And the guy was like, well, what does this post have to do with Cincinnati craft beer? And the gnome was like, I know, right? But it's stuff around Cincinnati, and I thought there was going to be more beer there, so I'd already started to do content on it, so I just finished out the content. So it's like the guy had a wild hair up his butt or something that day.
Well, if you would like to rage hate on us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at RagingHop.
And we'll just join in that energy with you of just raging about something.
Speaking of raging, we are going to talk about tantrums today.
Hey, I calmed that guy down from his tantrum. I'd like to think that I did a really good job handling that.
Yeah, so Elliot, we have 2 kids. Both kids have their time in the sun, as they say.
They have their moments.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about why we think, the reasons are for the tantrums and how we might prepare to avoid as much as possible. So we are going to talk about that and more.
Don't you like that pumpkin?
We have decorations in the mobile studio. 2 small pumpkins that say "Hello Fall" and just
welcome. Yeah, I might have made some impulse buys today, possibly.
So we have some adult beverages on this crisp autumn day,
and mine is perfect for a crisp autumn day.
What are you drinking, Caroline?
I have drank this on the show before. I am probably the episode right before this. I am drinking a Sunspun Shandy. It's a shandy with grapefruit and orange juice by Rheingeist. It is 4.5% ABV, and their description, again, is no such thing as too much fun in the sun. A bright squeeze of orange and grapefruit juice into a light-bodied golden ale delivers Sunspun Shandy, a brilliant blast of citrus sunshine. And while it is really sunny outside today, it's like 55 degrees outside. So we're starting to get to that point in Ohio where you look outside and you're like, it looks like a great day. Let me go outside. And then you go outside and your face almost freezes off. Like, we're getting to that point of the year.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, especially with 2 kids that don't like to wear jackets.
They both wore jackets, though, on our adventure.
They did. So I was very proud of them for that.
And I am drinking Good Enough for Me.
But is it good enough for me?
Well, it's very tasty. It is by Swine City Brewing out in Fairfield. And I just wrote a blog about this.
Yes, you did. Good job, Joe. I need to write some blog posts. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Except I think we're going to record another episode and drink like 7 beers. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But this is called Good Enough for Me. It is, again, by Swine City Brewing. And it is an oatmeal raisin cookie amber. And I have had this on the show before. Ooh, it's kind of sweet, too. Yeah, it's delicious. The thing I like about this one in particular is that it is an amber. It is not like a oatmeal cookie stout, which I feel like is pretty common, like to make a cookie stout sort of thing.
This is true, yes. Usually that's the case.
I feel like this is kind of unique in that it's a lighter beer. I mean, lighter compared to a stout, at least. So I like it. It's good. It tastes like, an oatmeal cookie. It has that sweetness. It has kind of that cookie flavor to it.
Is that maybe why it's described as a cookie ale?
Maybe. I mean, it is what it... I mean, people say, it's supposed to be X all the time. And it doesn't necessarily taste like it.
This is also true.
So my comment was just, it tastes how it is advertised. It doesn't say what the ABV is.
Yeah, the can does not have a lot of information on it.
But I don't think it's that high. I think it's in the 5%, 4.5% range.
Probably.
But I will put that information in the show notes because apparently it's not on the can. Yeah, so that is what we are drinking. All right, so now it is time for What's Bugging Caroline in Children's TV, where you, Caroline, tell us all about the lack of physics and logic and sense in children's TV. So what is bugging you this week?
In this week's episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse that we're going to talk about, the episode is titled Mickey Goes Fishing. And the reason why Mickey goes fishing is because Goofy has asked us to be in charge of his cat for the day, Mr. Pettibone. But Mr. Pettibone is hungry, and Goofy left us 0 food to feed Mr. Pettibone. And Mr. Pettibone likes gooey fish. So we have to go on an adventure so we can go fishing at Mickey Lake and get some red gooey fish for Mr. Pettibone and eventually Pluto as well. Because we're nice and we get fish for almost everybody. But how irresponsible is Goofy as a pet owner for not sending his pet with any food? If Mickey had a cat, then okay, you could assume that Mickey also had cat food. But Mickey has a dog, so you should provide your pet with the food that they need when you're going to abandon them.
Also, what kind of world is this where, there's no supermarket?
Clarabelle has a market, but it only pops up every once in a while. And I don't think at this point in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse timeline, her shop exists. But yeah, because she has a Moo Mart. It's like Clarabelle's Moo Mart or something like that. It's popped up in a few episodes.
But, do they sell cat food there?
I don't know.
And we're assuming that Mr. What's his name?
Pettibone,
he eats cat food. What if Goofy just feeds him fish?
I mean, that's the thing too. He's not super specific on anything. And it's provide the materials that your pet needs. Don't make us have to go all the way across clubhouse land so we can feed your pet. It's not a very friendly thing to do. It doesn't make me feel like I should be happy.
As your... What is that, knitting? Or
Embroidering.
A stencil that says be happy.
Yep.
All right. Is that everything that's bugging you this week about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
About Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, yes.
Hey everyone, Joe Ludwig here with the one and only Caroline.
Hey!
Before we get to the main topic of today's episode, we wanted to pause briefly and tell you about how you can support the show.
So if you enjoy listening to the podcast and reading our blog posts every week, then you now have the opportunity to support the show through Buy Me a Coffee. Here's what you need to know. It's super easy to do. You don't have to set up an account to contribute. You have options. Send us a one-time donation or sign up as a member to contribute on a monthly or yearly basis. Plus, you can unlock exclusive content.
To learn more about how you can support the Craft Parenting Podcast through Buy Me a Coffee, click the link in the show notes. And now, back to the show. All right, so now on to the main topic of this week's episode, which is all about tantrums.
We have 0 experience with this. Our kids are perfect angels all of the time.
All the time.
I don't even know how you thought we could do an episode about this. Because Well,
I'll tell you, because when I pitched this episode topic, I specifically had our youngest in mind, if you can believe it.
Our terrible 2s that's not 2 yet.
Yeah, so although Lily sometimes has tantrums, Elliot tends to have them more often. He's, at the moment, he's 19 months old. Oh, he's about to turn 19 months old. I know that the terrible twos are a thing, but man, he knows what he wants and when he wants it.
But isn't great at communicating it?
Not yet. No, he's not.
He's getting better, though.
Yeah, so that brings us to the tantrums, the screaming, the I'm going to become dead weight.
I'm going to throw myself on the floor.
The biting is more of a...
Please leave me alone.
I think it's funny.
It's funny, but he hasn't bit you the same way he's bit me.
Quote, I think it's funny. I'm trying to be funny.
Okay.
Like he's trying to be funny.
Elliot thinks that it's funny. Okay,
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
I mean, lately at least. Sometimes it's, get away from me.
I think it started off as Sissy isn't listening to me when I am telling her to go away. And so every once in a while he would bite her. Like there was one time Mom was watching Lily and Elliot and she was like, Lily, what's this mark on your arm? Because I hadn't seen it because she was asleep when I left the house. And she told Grandma that Bubba did it. Bubba bit me. And it looked like a Bubba bite. And I'm like, well, if you listen to Bubba when he tells you to leave him alone or give him back his toy, this will be less likely to happen. But we're both learning and growing together. And they still love each other very much. And they snuggle a lot. But occasionally there are teeth involved. And we're working on it.
For sure. So there are a few reasons that we think he in particular has tantrums. I wrote them down in the doc, but you're not using a doc.
I am using the doc. I'm not staring at it the whole time. So reason one, and I don't know where he gets this from or where Lily gets this from. I have no idea at all. But when we're feeling a little hungry, we have a tendency to not be on our best behavior.
Yeah, so sometimes we push our luck a little too much. We may find ourselves out and about during snack time, but we don't necessarily have snacks.
It usually means that we either have to rush to wherever our final destination is or hit up a store so we can get some snacks. Now we always have emergency snacks in the diaper bag, but we didn't always have that. So usually we can tell when Elliot's hungry or Lily's hungry just because we know about how long it's been since they've eaten. And we're like, oh yeah, it has been a hot second since we've had food. So this is usually like the easiest one to fix because it's just get some food into their bellies and then they're back to being their normal selves again. Kind of. It depends on if any other factors are in there, but we can at least eliminate the hunger one pretty easily. It is frustrating though when we go out to eat because it's like we only have about an hour window with the kids where we can go out to eat from when we sit down at the table to when we have to leave the table.
Right.
Because they just do not want to sit any longer than an hour, which I can get because they're both very active, very mobile children. So then it's as soon as we sit down, okay, what kind of Cheerios or Goldfish can we give to you? And then did we get an appetizer? Are we just getting a meal? How are we handling food? And just kind of like feeding them throughout that hour. Versus like, here's all of your food at once.
Like if we go out, we anticipate there being a wait.
Yeah, so we usually bring like Goldfish or Cheerios, something that they for sure don't have at the restaurant. And we still get the kids something to eat at the restaurant.
They share, yeah.
Yeah, we're not just like, hey, we brought all the food for the kids, so the kids are just going to make a mess and you're not going to make any money off of them. We try to only bring snacks and what we need to keep them happy. So yeah, so hungry is usually the easiest one. The next one is tired.
Yeah.
Also don't know where they get this from. And this one can range from mildly easy to fix to dang near impossible. It just depends on the day and the child and how they're feeling about life. So sometimes the kids will refuse to listen to us and listen to their bodies when they are tired. And then they get overtired.
This in particular applies to Lily more than Elliot. Elliot still naps, at least one nap.
Yeah, Elliot's still pretty good about napping at least once a day. And usually he's only an issue if we go out and about and don't give him an opportunity to nap. So if we don't have a stroller for him to nap in, or there's too much going on and he doesn't want to feel like he's left out, he will power through and try to stay awake through as much as possible.
But he'll fall asleep in the car.
Yes, he will very easily fall asleep in the car. Lily now is more 50-50 as to whether or not she will fall asleep in the car. She thinks about it, and sometimes she'll do it, but sometimes she won't. It just kind of depends. So this is we had one instance with Elliot that was quite literally the worst. I don't remember what we had done that morning. We had for sure done something where he didn't get his normal nap in. And so we said, okay, let's get home and let's put you in your crib and you'll nap. And he just screamed. And so I hung out with him for a bit and he just screamed some more.
He doesn't like rocking.
No, he does not like snuggles or rocking or singing to help him fall asleep. He is very much I will fall asleep on my own terms. Good luck, everybody else. Lily, we can rock and sing, and that'll help her chill out so she can fall asleep. So Elliot's basically screaming his head off. We're just surprised that he's not waking Lily up because Lily had fallen asleep at this point. And I'm like, you know what? I have to drive and do some errand anyway. So I'm just going to throw Elliot in the car. Like the errand is like I'm dropping something off at a friend's house, so I can just park the car in the driveway, drop the thing off, and then leave. So I don't have to like run into a store or anything like that. So he can stay in his car seat. A friend's house was like 25 minutes away. And it was about 5 or 10 minutes into the car ride before he stopped screaming consistently. Like the quantity of screaming decreased slowly over that 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it was like another 15 or 20 minutes. It was like 15 or 20 minutes into the car ride. So another 5 to 10 minutes after he stopped screaming before he finally fell asleep. Like he fell asleep right before I got to her house. And then he slept for maybe half an hour. And I was on my way home and we were like 10 minutes away from the house. And he woke up and he decided he was going to start screaming again. It was not a good day. We made it through the day. It was not a good day. And I think he was just like a snuggly mess the rest of the day because he was very tired because he refused to listen to his cues. So usually what we do is we just kind of like shove the children in their bed and force a nap into them. Because like Lily will do the same thing where like she'll scream or she'll cry because no, I'm not tired. I don't want to take a nap. And when she says that, you know she's falling asleep within 2 minutes of you getting into bed with her because girl is exhausted.
She'll rock with you though.
Yeah, but she'll rock with you and say she's not tired. But like today, she is really starting to get her cues down and I love it. Like 3 is like my favorite toddler age so far. I mean, every age has highs and lows, but like 3 is great because she's finally like she told me yesterday on our walk that she was hungry. And I was like, oh, is your tummy rumbly? And she said, yeah, I'm hungry. I said, okay, when we get back home, we'll get some food. And then today on our hike, she was like, I'm sleepy. I need nap. And like she told us that she needed a nap. And then she was like, I need food. I need snack before my nap. And so we had a snack and then she took a nap.
She wanted milk too. I said no.
Yeah, we're trying to reduce liquids so we can work on better potty training numbers. She's doing a lot better. She made it through another week of school because we're back in preschool. Woohoo!
Yeah, she got grounded.
Yeah, but she's like doing all the arts and crafts with her friends and she's having a blast. We get photo updates now and she comes home with paint on her clothes. And the teacher's like, I'm sorry, we did a bunch of paint crafts this week. I try to get paint off their clothes if I notice it, but sometimes I don't see it all. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, as long as we're just happy she's in preschool.
Yeah. So while there are times I'm like, I just want to like force you to sleep somehow because you need to turn your brain off, get some of that REM sleep, and then you will be a better person again. I was just trying to find out what makes these kids tick. And they're almost polar opposites when it comes to sleep.
Not really. They both sleep.
They both love to sleep, but like naps, man, it's rough sometimes.
I mean, Elliot goes down usually right away.
Yeah, I mean, usually he's like, okay, like there was one night he was crying in his crib and I was like, okay, I'll give him 2 minutes and then I'll come up and get him. And so I came up and got him and I was rocking with him And he was continuing to cry and then shoved himself out of my arms. And I said, okay, you can wander around your room while I sing to you, and hopefully that'll help you chill out. And instead of wandering around his room, he attempted to climb into his crib. Mm-hmm. He was like, nope, done with this. Go away now. So I set him in his crib, finished singing the song, and said, okay, bye. You're on your own now. Figure it out, little dude.
He did. I mean, there are some quirks between the two of them, but like I said, Lily is more snuggly at bedtime, whether it's nap or whatever. And Elliot is like, leave me alone. Don't touch me.
He doesn't like to be warm, and I think that's a lot of it, is then he gets too warm and is like, nope, I just want to lay like a starfish and cool off a bit. So the next one you have is one thing, but I'm going to change into multiple things. So it's frustration, but there are many reasons why we get frustrated. The first reason why we get frustrated is because of a lack of communication.
Yes.
While Lily has a lot more words than she used to and is pretty legible. Legible is when you write, though. I don't remember what the word is for when you're talking.
Understandable.
Yeah, she's very understandable. Like it's easy for her to say lots of words, and it's pretty easy for us to understand them. Every once in a while, she says something, and we're like, what? And she'll say it again, and we're like, this? She's like, no, thing we can't understand. And I'm like, other thing? No. Thing you can't understand. And then we just kind of have to try to go back and forth.
Well, just today, she was saying headband.
Oh, yeah, because I asked Lily to get her hair bin.
Hair bin.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept saying hair band. I thought she was saying hair band.
Yeah, so then I come inside, and Lily's like in near tears in the kitchen. And like she's pointing to the hair bin, but there's like 30,000 other things on the counter because our house is a mess. And Joe's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, she's trying to get her hair bin. Oh, hair bin. Is the hair bin what you want, Lily? And she nodded her head and said, yeah. I said, yeah, see, sometimes it's hard for us to understand each other, but we'll get there. And then she was happy that she could help me figure out her hair bin, and I'll eventually do her hair. But she's got a Hot Mess Express hairdo right now.
Elliot gets frustrated a lot, I feel like. Because
he has like 3 words and that are like useful.
Choo-choo.
Because he can say like choo-choo and sheep and ba, but in everyday conversations, that's not very useful for getting what you want. So he does a lot of pointing and just grunting. Like Lily would point and grunt at things. Apparently I would point at things and say dis. Elliot just points at things, and you kind of got to figure out what he's pointing at. But if you say the thing, he'll say yeah, or he'll nod his head, or he'll like give a happy squeal. Like, hey, we finally figured out what it is that I'm trying to say to you. Because like if he points at the goldfish and you say you want goldfish, he'll be like, yeah. So like he's getting better, but he's not. And probably part of it is because we didn't work on baby sign language as much with him as we did with Lily.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's Lily, we drove it into her head. More milk. Please, thank you.
Yeah, and with Elliot, we kind of did, but not as much. So, like, when he wants more to eat, he just kind of points and grunts. And so we're working on saying, like, more to eat. And then he'll say yes, and we'll say, okay, say please. And he'll say please or sis. And then rub his chest in a circle because that's how you say please.
So he's getting it. He's starting to do the sign for more now.
Yeah, we're trying to really hammer that one in because usually it's that he wants more food. So communication can sometimes be a barrier, but we're working on it. Lily's getting way more words and is really getting better at figuring out what her body needs and is being more responsive as far as, like, she told us today that she had to go potty and we made it to the potty before she peed her pants. So that was like super great progress.
We were in a car too.
We were in a car and we were like, it was mildly frustrating because we had just passed a rest stop and there wasn't a gas station for like the next 2 exits. So we were like, we can get off at this. Nope. Can't get off at that exit. There isn't anything there. We can get off this next. Nope. That's the Renaissance Festival exit and the line is 3 miles long. we just got to keep going because it's going to take us longer to get to the bathroom than it is to just drive to the next exit that has a bathroom. But we made it. And it's every day is a new adventure, and us all learning how to live in this shared space together. So that's communication, and like just trying to give them the words that they need. And like when they point at stuff, saying what the thing is before you give it to them, so that in future instances, either they'll get more words, or by Elliot having a meltdown and like pointing to the goldfish because he's hungry and he's trying to communicate to me that he would like goldfish, or it's just, I saw the goldfish and I want the goldfish because that is what my little toddler brain tells me, because goldfish are the best thing ever.
Apparently.
Yeah. As soon as I say fish and goldfish, he understands that, yes, that is what that thing is. Mama got what I was trying to say. We have gone through this enough times that I know the next thing that's going to happen is she is going to give me goldfish. So I'm going to turn my little hiney around and run to my little table and sit down at my table so I can wait for mommy to bring me goldfish. So we're getting better. It always takes time. So the next reason why we get frustrated is because we want to help. Our children are very big helpers in times where it is hard to have them help.
They want to be involved.
They would like to be involved when we're putting things in the oven, when we're pulling things out of the oven, when we're handling raw meat. And now that Lily is less about licking her hands, I can get her more involved in things. So like she helped me make piggies in a blanket for the second time in the last like week and a half. And she like knew what she had to do. It's just she still needs help like pressing down with a knife hard enough to actually cut the biscuit dough. And she's really good at rolling up the piggies into a blanket. But she doesn't want to eat the blanket. She only wants to eat the piggies. So we only put half the piggies in a blanket and we just roasted the other half of the piggies. So we didn't waste blanket, aka crescent roll.
Do we have a bunch of crescent rolls now?
No. So the first time we made them, we cut the crescent rolls into thirds. So we ended up with like almost 90% of the piggies were in blankets.
Okay.
Because that was a better width for the little mini piggies.
Do people know what piggies in the blanket are? Is that a Midwest thing?
I don't think it's a Midwest thing. But so there's two variations of piggies in a blanket. All of them involve crescent roll dough. One of them involves hot dogs that you cut up. The other one just involves mini wieners. And so like I always get the cocktail wieners because then it's less work. And the cocktail wieners are really short. So you can cut the crescent rolls into half or thirds, depending upon how much blanket you want on your piggy. And so the first time I was like, well, the kids love bread and they love hot dogs. So we'll cut the crescent rolls into thirds so I can get more piggies and blankets. Yeah. And then the kids just tore the piggies out of the blanket and didn't eat the crescent roll.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
They're weird. There's a whole episode of eating with kids and how one day it's their favorite thing ever and the next day they're like, why did you feed me this? This is the worst.
Yeah, nutrition, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like Lily was able to help me do that, and she only licked her hands once today. She didn't lick her hands at all the last time she made them with me. And like Lily can help me mix things more now because, again, she's better about like coughing to the side, not licking her hands every 10 seconds. And so then, of course, that means that Elliot also wants to be involved. But I only have enough space to handle one child at the time. Because while our kitchen is big, it's not that big as far as like working space all at the same spot. And Elliot definitely is not past the everything goes in my mouth phase. So there's only some things that I can include him in. But like Lily will help me make her own quesadillas and like help plate up food and then help bring the stuff to the table. So I'm trying to give her, usually it's when she's getting really frustrated, a lot of the time it's because she wants a job, because she wants to help you. So you have to find a way that either she can't actually help or she thinks that she is helping. So a lot of it is just give her a job. And we can kind of give Elliot jobs too. So now I can tell Elliot to put clothes in the hamper and he'll go and he'll put clothes in the hamper because he understands what that means. And then he'll throw all the clothes out of the hamper, but then we just put them back in the hamper again and it's okay.
Oh, they cleaned up their toys before we went on the hike.
Yeah, so they're getting a lot better at being able to help. And it's just giving them jobs that they are able to accomplish. Because like with toddlers too, you're not supposed to help them do something if they think that they can do it on their own. Because then that helps give them the confidence that they can actually do the thing on their own. Versus like you wait until they ask you for help.
So on the topic of kind of being involved, Elliot, he sees his big sister in the potty.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so cute. But it's...
And
I'm not ready yet.
He doesn't understand it, but he wants to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
So when Lily's done with the potty, we have a step stool potty at home. So it's a seat and it has a step stool so Lily can step on the potty and do that by herself.
Because all of our toilets are tall.
And he sees us, clapping.
Yeah.
Saying, yay, Lily, you went potty. So he doesn't understand what she did, obviously, but he wants to be involved. So he thinks that stepping on the step stool to get to the potty, that's worthy of praise.
So he sits on the step stool and then claps.
Yeah, so not
It's
even
so
the toilet.
cute.
He just sits on the first step.
Oh, now he's trying to sit on the toilet too. Because he's sat on the toilet a few times and I'm like, okay, we're just going to pop your diaper off and see what happens. And of course, nothing ever happens. But I'm like, well, we're at least introducing you to the potty. So you can kind of see what this whole spiel is about.
He hasn't gone on the potty.
No. I think at this point, like Lily had gone on the potty once or twice, but it was very much like fluky. Oh, hey, it's been 2 hours and your diaper was still dry, so I'm going to put you on the potty. And, oh, hey, you went pee-pee on the potty. That's really awesome, but you have no idea what you just did.
Yeah. And he also wants to, Lily has a step stool to get to the sink.
Mm-hmm.
And so he steps on the step stool.
And wants to wash his hands. He gets very frustrated if you don't help him wash his hands because he can't reach anything, but he can kind of get his hands in the sink.
And the other thing I was going to say is now that he doesn't have this issue with you and I necessarily.
Not as much as he does with everyone else.
But
good luck to your mom because we haven't warned her on this one yet.
He doesn't like wearing diapers
He doesn't like laying in his changing table for a diaper change. Sometimes not even on the floor. So usually I can just like sing to him and we can get through a diaper change that way. Or I just change his diaper on the floor. And as soon as he has a diaper on, I'm like, okay, go run around and then I'll catch you again to put your pants back on. Or we just don't need pants right now. It's fine.
Well, it becomes frustrating for the caregiver when he has a stinky diaper and he doesn't want to hold still.
Yeah, it is. And it's very frustrating when it's like, no, please do not move around or try to help because this is just going to get way worse.
And to be on the topic of tantrums, that is a point of tantrum for sure.
Yeah.
When we force him to lay down. And I hear him scream when your mom tries to change him. And I have to, if I'm not busy with something, sometimes I'm on a call,
mm-hmm.
which is never good. But if I'm not busy and I'm working from home, I have to run up and hold him down because, his butt is stinky.
Yeah, and it needs to be clean.
But I think he notices things, with Lily and he wants to do what she does.
Yeah, so like if I try to leave the house without him, but I'm like, so like the other day when I went on a walk with Lily, we had to like quietly leave the house, but he even kind of like noticed that we left the house and he was like, wait, I want to come too. And I'm like, sorry, bud, you're going to stay here. It's just going to be a sissy and mommy walk. I'll take you next time. Will I take him next time? I'm not exactly sure. I kind of said that I would, so I probably should.
He doesn't listen like Lily listens.
No, so you just kind of have to keep an eye on him, and he's usually pretty good about staying on the sidewalk, but there was one day, man, we were going out to the car, so I let him walk himself out to the car, and like I have an eye on the street, and I open up the car door, and I look, and he like is on a little pad of concrete right before the road, and I'm like, Elliot, stop, come back. And of course he's not listening, so I have to sprint after him, and I grab him like 3 steps into the road, and I'm like, no, get your butt back here. This is not okay. I don't know what he was trying to go after, or if he was just like, I'm gonna run. Lily never did that. Maybe once or twice, but like she was super young. So now that the neighbors are hopefully finally done with their driveway install, the major parts of their driveway install, we can start walking the circle again, hopefully, instead of having to cross the street to get to our friend's house.
I feel like they did something to the sidewalk, though.
They redid the sidewalk.
And did they pour the sidewalk?
Yes. And everything should be dry now. So hopefully our neighbors will be parking on their driveway again soon, too.
But he notices things like Lily having big girl pants on. And I think that's contributing to the, I don't want to wear diapers.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything that she does, he also wants to do. So we have to kind of find Elliot safe ways of doing some things that Lily does. So like if Lily's doing some acrylic painting, well, we have to pull out like the temper paints or just some shaving cream for Elliot so he can feel like he is doing something as well. Otherwise, he is not a happy camper.
Yeah, so I purchased the Pampers 360, which are diapers, but they're pull-ups. You pull them on. So I think that has, at least he lets you change him when you put those on him.
Yeah, he just wants to be a big boy, but he's not quite ready yet. One day we will get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding diapers that he is okay with wearing has been a big help. And just trying to find ways that he can be included in on things. Even if he's not helping as much as he thinks he is. At least he thinks that he's helping. And really, in the end, isn't that all that really matters?
Yeah. Toddler helping,
yeah.
Hillary says. What else do you have about tantrums?
So big things are, so like to calm down from like a big tantrum. If we're a big mad or a big sad, some very big emotion that we don't know how to handle. I try to work on deep breathing techniques with the kids. So we're going to do a big breath in through our nose and a big breath out with our mouth.
Katie had a good tip. She calls it
smell the flower.
Blow out the candle.
Yeah. So you like hold your little fist in front of your nose. So you pretend like you're smelling a flower. And then you hold a finger in front of your mouth and you pretend like you're blowing it out. The kids don't really get that one, at least not yet. So a lot of that is just, okay, we're going to sit on the couch for 2 minutes or however long I can get you to sit on the couch. And I'm going to take some nice big calming breaths and try to get you to take some nice big calming breaths as well. And then we can talk about like what that big emotion was that we had and why we had that big emotion. Sometimes we do have to do timeout if Lily is in a very much not listening kind of mood. Elliot's not big enough for timeout yet because he's 19 months old. I mean, he acts like he's 2, but he is not quite there yet. So they say it's 1 minute for every year old that they are is the most you can really get out of them for timeout and have it actually be productive. So things that we have done have included, she sits in a chair in the kitchen and just stares at the wall for 2.5 minutes. And then during that, like I'm talking to her about, okay, why are we in timeout? What was it that we were doing that we weren't allowed to do? How can we have this not happen again? Trying to get her to understand, I'm not just saying this because I'm being mean about this. Like, you are going to do a thing that was going to hurt yourself or your brother.
That's the big thing we punish her about is if she pushes her baby brother.
Yeah, or takes a bunch of his toys and won't give them back.
It's mostly, hurting him.
Yeah.
Squeezing him too much around the neck, jumping on him.
Yeah, and like I've told you not to do this thing like 4 or 5 times.
Like we try to shut that behavior down as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure what Mom said it was that she had done the other day. I think it was that she had shoved her brother pretty hard. And Mom said, okay, you're going to have to go into your room for 5 minutes. Like just as like have some of your own time. And Lily was like, okay. Like she had realized that she had done a thing that she wasn't supposed to do. So like it's starting to sink in. It takes time. And sometimes when they get a big feeling and a big frustration, you also get a big feeling and a big frustration. And that it might mean that you have to step out of the room for 30 seconds and take a deep breath and then come back and talk to the kids about what just happened and how we can better live with each other. One thing that I saw on the interwebs, and I was like super annoyed at this, but like as a parent, occasionally like you have to take a break and like if you can power through the thing because you have to power through the thing, like great. Because there was a dad that was at the park with his 2 kids. He had like a 7-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old daughter. And the kids were playing and the 7-year-old daughter did something where she broke her arm. And like, it was not a great break. Like, it was not something that was easy to look at. So the dad ran over and was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to throw up now. So he ran to a bush, threw up. 30 to 60 seconds later was right next to his kid's side again. Like, the 10-year-old was with her the whole time. And like, she was within sight. Packed the kids up, took them to the emergency room, got her all bandaged up and brought her home. And when he got home, his wife was like, I can't believe that you left the kid and like you threw up and like you're a terrible father, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there are so many ways that could have gone way worse than it did. Like, it could have been to the point where he was like, I have to call an ambulance because I don't feel comfortable driving her in this situation. And now that's longer for you to get to the hospital. He could have passed out. And now you've got a 10-year-old that's trying to figure out, what do I do with my sister and my dad? Hopefully somebody else would be at the park that would be able to call 911 or whatever. But like, sometimes you have situations where like, that is a very extreme situation, but it's just, can I get through this next 30 seconds? Can I get through this next minute? And slowly getting yourself into an okay space. Because it's not, okay, what am I going to do over the next 20 minutes? It's, what am I going to do in this next moment? Does that make sense? Did I just go on a weird tangent?
That was a little bit of a weird tangent. I don't know that I would have driven,
Yeah, like, I'm not, like, I probably would have driven the kids because I would have been like, we need to go right now. But like, I would have been like.
For a break? I mean, we have a 5-point harness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is also a 7-year-old, so they probably weren't in a 5-point harness. Though I don't know, because I was reading through the manual for Lily and her car seat today to try to figure out what is the maximum that she can be in this car seat, it's a booster seat with a 5-point harness. And it was the biggest, if not close to the biggest 5-point harness booster seat I could find. And the limit is 49 inches or 65 pounds. And Lily is 44 inches tall. So 5 more inches and she can no longer 5-point harness. And she's supposed to be in a 5-point harness like as long as possible. So like, our kids are huge. And like, by the time she's in kindergarten, she might not even be in a booster seat anymore. Because she grew 4 inches in the last year. Or no, she's 40 inches. Is she 40 inches? She's 40 inches.
She was barely 40 inches.
She was barely 40 inches.
I was going to say,
right.
You keep saying 44 inches. She was barely 40 inches September.
So she was 36 inches last September, and then she was 40 inches this September because there were a ton more rides that she could ride at Kings Island. The next bracket to ride more rides at Kings Island is 44 inches. That's why I had 44 inches stuck in my head, because that's probably how tall she's going to be next year. So, okay, she's only 40 inches for now. We have some time, but I was mildly panicking about that today. Because, oh my goodness, how tall is my child versus her maturity level to be in not a 5-point harness.
Well, even with a seatbelt, you have to maneuver your arm, depending on the arm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what I would have done. I know, so we have a neighbor who, I think it was before they moved into our neighborhood, because they had 2 kids by the time they moved into our neighborhood. So dad and son, who was like a year-ish old, were playing at the playground. And dad went down the slide with his son, but he didn't make sure that his son's legs were in between his legs. So his son's legs were splayed out. And anytime you're going down a slide with a child, you want your legs on the outside and their legs on the inside. Because otherwise, what will happen is if their foot gets stuck on the side of the slide, they are going to break their leg, which is what happened to this kid. And so dad had to drive son to emergency room and was freaking out about what the hospital was going to say, and like whether or not CPS was going to get involved, because it's a small kid with a broken bone. And they're like, oh yeah, we see this all the time because you were going down a slide with your kid and this is what happens. So like, you always want to make sure your kid's feet are inside.
I just don't go down the slide with the kid.
I mean, there's also a big question as to whether or not you can fit down the slide, because the slides are made for children and you are not the tallest person that I know, but you're pretty close. Not as many people are as tall as Bobby.
I mean, yeah, that is the golden standard. He's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's like a whole head taller than you and makes you look short, and I still can't wrap my head around that when you two stand next to each other. Weird tangents. We're on them today. Is this what happens when we day drink? Though I have not even drank a third of my beer.
I'm done with my beer, for the record.
And we're going to our last Oktoberfest of the season today.
What else did you want to say about what else did you want to say about tantrums?
This too shall pass. I mean, everything changes though. So right now it's tantrums because communication isn't great, because they want to help and they don't have all the words that they need. But then we'll get into the teenage years, and there'll be tantrums because they want to do things that they're not allowed to do, or just hormones are telling them that they're all crazy. So it's always going to be something. This too shall pass. We'll get through it together. I don't know. We're all in this together. Let me just say like buzzwords, buzz phrases.
Is that it?
Strategery, synergy, head count exercises.
Now it is time for Joe's Dad Joke of the Week. And I have 2 jokes, and I read this one to you earlier. It's a Marvel themed joke.
Oh, snap. Is it going to be super?
Yes. Thank you for that. So I don't know why Marvel doesn't have the Hulk do more of their advertising.
Why is that?
He's a banner.
He's one huge banner?
He's one huge banner. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
I have another joke.
Okay.
Which days are the strongest out of all the 7 days?
There are 7 days. I don't know. Which ones are?
Saturday and Sunday. The rest are all weekdays.
Oh, my goodness.
So that does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us at Craft Parenting Podcast on all of those platforms. You can also get a hold of us via email, which is craftparentingpodcast@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Make sure to share the show. It really helps our show grow. You can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee if it so suits your fancy. And if you'd like to send us stuff such as fan mail, craft supplies, or sanity, we have a P.O. box. And awkward pauses today. What's up with that?
I take out the awkward pauses.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
All this information is available on our website, which is www.craftparentingpodcast.com.
That's where we post the show notes, plus blog posts about some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the podcast.
And if you want to follow me personally on Instagram, you can do so. My account's name is @craftparentingjoe, and I share pictures of the beer that I drink.
I am at Caroline Creates Crafts on Instagram and Caroline's Creative Crafts on Facebook. And I'm about to post a photo of this embroidery project that I've been working on while we've been recording. I don't have a ton of progress made with it, but it's one of like 3 active embroidery projects that I have right now, not including the like 1 to 5 cross stitch projects or 2 to 5 crochet projects or like 4 to 7 knit projects. Whips. They're a thing.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
Let's shut this thing down before we get in trouble. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Would you say that we have to stop before Elliot throws a tantrum at us? He is our executive producer after all. Elliot, did you approve of this podcast? Did our executive producer say that he was okay with this content? Is he going to throw a tantrum about it?
I don't know.
I guess we'll see.